All right. Welcome to the show. My name's Derek. I don't know what I'm going to call this show. It's going to be called something. As of recording, I haven't quite decided on a name, but by the time of posting, there'll be something that this show will be called. Before I get into today's topic, I'll tell you a little bit about what we're doing here. My aim is to do something. I think, given the times that we are facing here in America and with Trump's administration and how politics and just human decency and these norms that we grew up with are under attack, I feel like it's time to start really coalescing the people. And this is the way I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to host topics each, hopefully daily. Maybe it may be every other day. I got two young children, but I hope to talk about topics that are currently being talked about in the news and just in the general zeitgeist, and kind of go over them as why they are good or bad, or what the far-reaching consequences means for everybody else. Because I mean, when you look at the politics, the divisiveness seems to be less about what the people want and more about the ideologies of these luminous figures on Washington and what they see they think this country should be. And I don't think that's quite reflective of the people. The second part of this is hopefully through these dialogues, a coalition of people, like-minded people who want to fight and who want to make this country better. Because I think that's the real focus, is to making this country better. Realize that we as the people have the power, because we do. I know it's hard to believe you do when you're individual in your own silo, in your own home, and you feel like you're disconnected. But we literally have the power. It's baked into the Constitution. I know the administration doesn't seem to believe the Constitution is right, but it is the foundation of everything this country stands for. It's the reason why this country is the way it is right now. And with that being said, we, the people, are the government. And so we need to come together and we need to make that power felt. And I hope with this platform, it'll lead to me connecting with other people across this great nation, and we can come together and provide a real unified front. Like, let's get everybody here and let's make our wishes known. So like I said, I'm going to try to make this daily. It might be every other day, but I'll be talking about different topics and explaining them from the point of view of a normal person. Now, to preface it, I do have left leanings. The right just doesn't work for me. It's conservatism of itself just does not seem to want to include people who are not of a certain ilk. I get that that's baked into part of our capitalistic system. And in other videos, I will actually go into why I think capitalism as it stands has failed. And I will try to extol my reasoning behind that. But that's not what this particular video is about. I'm just letting you know where I stand so you won't pretend like I'm being disingenuous or whatever. I think there's a lot of disingenuousness in our society right now. I work in marketing, so I see it daily about how words are used to imply certain things but not imply. And I'm a little sick of it. I kind of just want to be like, yo, let's be straight up. This is how it is. So I'm going to try to call it like I see it. I am left leaning. Most of that comes through that, like, I'm a minority. So I think I do see from a lens that allows me to say, all right, I can see an unfair system, or how this disadvantages people who are not considered, the echelon of that system or that culture. Part of that is also just like, I value freedom, and the right tends to be more controlling, and that's something I abhor. I just don't like people telling me how I should live, especially when what they do doesn't affect me. And I also don't like what they do affecting me when I don't want it to. I don't feel like that. A lot of issues don't concern me, so why should I care about how you live your life, especially as long as it doesn't hurt me, And I think that's something that I stand firmly on. And thirdly, I find that a lot of the people, conservative wise, that I meet, let's just go for the faces, the people who are the most upfront, the people that we see the most because of TV or media. they come across as just really selfish and condescending, and they have a certain superiority and attitude that just doesn't vibe with me. They don't seem to be good people. They seem to think that money is the all important factor, and your race and where your background is not worth it. It just seems a real just smugness and disingenuousness that for me, it just doesn't buy. Like, really, the biggest off-putting thing about conservatism is the people who represent it. They're just not, they're not cool people. They seem weak-willed. They seem performative. They seem to flip on a dime. The only value that I find that they hold in common is money. If it makes money, let's do it. But like, their moral center just seems to shift like quicksand. And I don't like that, you know? I like people who stand where they stand. Even if I disagree with the, hey, yo, you're about your shit, you're about your shit. So anyway, that's just a little info into me. So you won't be like, well, he's pretending to be, he presented himself as this and he's not a good faith actor. Miss me with all that bullshit. I'm letting you know who I am, and going forward, it will reveal other things. But right now, let's get to what this video is about. Okay, so for today's video, I want to talk about the one thing that's kind of in the news now. I hate the name, but the SignalGate, I guess you can call it, the signal text messages. And specifically, I just want to focus on why this is an issue. Because I've been seeing a lot of stuff. You look on the right, they're like, this is stupid. It's like, simple mistake, it doesn't matter. You look at the left, they're like, it's the most egregious, lapse in judgment that ever happened. And I can see the argument on both sides. Let me just put it there. I can see the argument on both sides. Now, whether I agree with that argument is here or there. But I will say this. These are the reasons why I think it does matter. First off, it matters because it exposes a fundamental lack of professionalism and seriousness with the people involved. Like, just think about it. You're engaging in an exercise, an attack against a foreign adversary, and you're using a communication service that can be hacked. Like, we live in a digital age. We all know how valuable and how easy it is to get your information hacked. You can get your car key hacked just by walking past somewhere. You can get your credit card hacked. It's that easy. And so to use a device, Signal, which people have been telling me is a good encryption device. I've known people in my life who've done very unsavory things who use apps like that provide encryption. So I get it. It is more safe than your regular text message. But when you're engaging in operations that do affect national security, and more importantly, our soldiers, because like it or not, they're not replaceable. You can't just treat soldiers' lives like they're just a resource to be used. This is not chess. This is not a game where the stakes are not real. These are real people with real lives. And so putting them in a place of danger by using an app that's not secure shows a fundamental level of just, you're not about this job the way you need to be. You wouldn't ask a police officer to be unserious about, protecting yourself and going against criminals. You wouldn't say like, oh, well, this police officer is using a fake gun, or this police officer has fake handcuffs or something like that, or this police officer is, you wouldn't want them to be doing anything that will compromise their ability to keep you safe. Same with firemen. You wouldn't be like, oh yeah, they don't check their what are those things called? I forget, fire extinguishers. If you had a fireman who didn't check their fire extinguishers regularly and it was empty when they needed it, you'd be like, what are you doing? Part of your job is to ensure that you are taking this seriously enough to save as many people as possible. And that's where the Signal thing comes in. If you're using something that can be compromised, and some of these people were in areas that we will consider not our friends. Like, the administration is towing the line talking about Russia is not all that bad, but like, bro, how do you flip? Like, I've been born in the 80s. Ever since I've been alive, Russia has always been a threat. When it was part of the Soviet Union, when it's been what it is now, like, where does that change? And the way that everybody's just like, oh, Russia's great again, like, blows my mind. Like, I don't know about you. I don't really make those determinations about perceived enemies that I've had for decades and just like, oh, they're cool now. Like that just seems shady to me. But that's for another video. All that to say, these people in areas that there are people who are actively against American interest, and then they can pick up on these attack plans and they can let that leak. I mean, I've heard some reporters say, like, what if Jeffrey Goldberg wasn't as principled as some of these other like journalists, and they immediately sold that to the highest bidder? Like, people are mercenary like that. And for them to engage in an operation of this magnitude and do it unsecurely speaks very highly to what they think about the job, how they do the job, and ultimately, like, where I could see that job's going. Like, I don't have confidence in people who allow this to happen. And here's the thing, they got rid of all the people who would have been like, hey, yo, you shouldn't do that. I'm going to check you on that. So that leads me to believe, like, you got nobody surrounding you who's got like common sense, or even more to the point, let's not even say common sense. People who understand what's at stake and know the proper protocol. Because I got friends in the military. The one thing you don't want is a weak link on any mission, because that compromises everybody. Because one thing about the military is they're like, you have to have your boys back. Everybody has to take care of each other. And to see the highest chains of command having the greatest slaps is very disheartening, very disheartening. So regardless if you're a Republican or Democrat, national security should always be something important to you because it secures us. It's our national security. I live in America. If all of our attack plans are being realized and being tapped and stuff, we're at a disadvantage. That means our enemies have a one up on us. And that does not make me feel safe. And it shouldn't make you feel safe, regardless of who it was that did it. Now, I don't think the current administration hired the best people. I think they all are just clowns. I think they resemble more of like a cartoon supervillain like Legion of Doom than they do serious people. And this is showing me that that is the case. They are not proving me wrong is what I'm saying. So that's number one. Number two, it shows the length of this administration's that they're willing to go to avoid culpability. They made a mistake, and the first thing they do, it's not my fault. They'll come with any cockamamie excuse why this isn't my fault. Like, yo, you got to own up to that. You made the text group, you text these texts, like that's you. And then to use this language like, I don't recall, I don't remember. Your job is to fucking remember. You are the national security director, Tulsi Gabbard or whatever she is. Like, your job is to understand anything that's going on that results to national security. Pete Hegseth, you are the Secretary of Defense. It's your job to like know what you're putting out there. You're Secretary of Defense. You're supposed to defend. You're not supposed to leave openings and gaps in our defenses. And so like when you see them not wanting to, like, they want to squirm their way out of this, that just shows me, oh, next time we have a catastrophe or something goes down, you're not going to be there. You're going to be like, oh, it was that man. And then you're just going to pass this buck so you don't have to have accountability. All the while, the people who really suffer, the ones who actually make it happen, they're going to get shit. They're going to be shit out of luck and left out to dry. Because think about this. You don't have to die. You're not flying those F-18s. You're not the one on those ships that are, you know, with the missiles and stuff like that. You don't have to conduct this operation. You just sit back in wherever you are and, you know, say, go do this. And these people put their lives on the line. You know how demoralizing that is to know that command is just like, oh, it wasn't me. Dude, that's not leadership. It's not leadership. And so again, that goes to show their character. That tells me that when the chips are down, they're going to bitch out. There's nothing about that you can tell me that is admirable. There's nothing about that you can tell me that is worthy of praise or they're like, oh, you know, it was just a mistake and blah, blah, blah. Dude, you're not even trying to own up to the mistake. If it's as small a mistake as you believe it to be, then why can't you own up and say, yo, that was my bad. I'm new to this job. It was a lapse. You have so many other avenues you could have handled this. And your thing is like, I don't recollect what I did. I don't know what I did. What are you talking about? They weren't exactly attack plans. They were war plans. Like, dude, stop using semantics. We're not stupid. We see what's going on. And it shows me that once again, this administration, they talk a lot about the mandate and the will of the people, But like when they actually have to prove that they're on the people's side, they fail. They fail. Instead of being like, I'm sorry, sir, I put many lives in jeopardy. This was not becoming of an individual. Instead of owning up and saying like, yo, I put us in a bad spot. They're like, oh, I didn't do it. Oh, you know what? I think this journalist may use mischievous means to get in on my chat. It's like, no, bro. No, he didn't. He didn't say, well, today I'm going to find a scandal in the Trump administration by just adding myself to it. That's not how it works. And it's bullshit, the excuses they're giving. I heard one commenter say it's the type of excuse you get from like a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old. And they're right. My children, when they do stuff wrong, will give me an excuse that is flimsy. I see right through it because they're too young to really understand that it holds no water. And now we're seeing that same type of mentality from the people that the people that our president feels are going to protect our nation. So that shows you where their mind is at. It's not really about national security. I just want to get my shit done and come hell or high water. I don't care how many people I have to sacrifice. If you're in the military, really, if you're in the military, think about what this says. Like seriously, regardless of your political ideology, think about what it says when your highest leaders fuck up and they're just like, and think about if you fucked up, what that would mean for you in the military. Because all my military friends are like, dude, if I did that shit, donezo. Because you don't have the opportunity. You don't get a second chance when it's real war. You just don't. I'm just saying. The next point about this, why it matters, it shows the world that the U.S. is amateur hour. And it gives our enemies ammunition as to where our weaknesses lie. Whole world sees like, oh, these people don't even know proper like encryption and communication like dissemination. Dude, let's start following all of them because they are going to slip up. That's what it shows. They don't understand how this game is played. They're going to slip up. They're easily able. They got defenses. You just showed the world that America is not playing. We're not playing 4D chess like people like to throw around. There's no 4D chess going on. We're not even playing checkers. These motherfuckers are playing tic-tac-toe. And the first thing they did is they put X right there in the corner. Somebody put O right here. And instead of blocking that O, they put X somewhere else. And now we're about to lose the game. This is showing that America has never been more easily compromised than ever before. So if you feel this country is the best country in the world, then you have to ask yourself, are we getting the best defense in the world from our leaders? Because this is not it. If they're going to be shooting texts off on unsecured apps, like you can get that shit from like the app store, unsecured apps when they have available communications for them to use for this purpose, that lets me know if I'm a foreign adversary, I'm like, yo, we got these fools. America is not serious. We're just going to go run over them. And keep in mind, these other countries are much more hungry. You know, America's gotten fat and bloated and glutted, and we feel we're the big shit and the big dog on the walk. So we're not thinking, we're slipping. And in any other place, when you caught slipping, you get got. And now our enemies know, oh, this whole cabinet's a clown show. All right, we're about to go to the circus. That's what they're thinking. And then finally, it shows that Trump is he's not really managing the situation. Because think about it. J.D. Vance literally said, I don't think the president really understands what's going on with this. He didn't even really sign up on this. They kind of told him he's off playing golf in Mar-a-Lago. They're all doing this on their own. He says, I don't know if we properly, identified the messaging for the president. He hasn't given enough thought about this. And then Stephen Miller's like, we heard what he said. We're going to go through with this. It doesn't matter if we do it now or later. They didn't even consult him, which tells me he doesn't even want to be consulted. What president will allow an operation, especially one where they're saying this is to send a message, we're trying to prove something on the international stage? What president is not in the loop? Like, for real. Like, there should never have been on that text chain a part where J.D. Vance is like, I don't think the president really understands the gravity of the situation. He doesn't? You're about to engage in a full-scale operation against a perceived enemy, and he's not intimately aware of where we stand, what his thinking is. You don't know that? You just saying, we heard what he said on TV, but we haven't talked to him in person because, reasons. WTF. What the fuck is that? He wants to be the president of this nation and he wants to be the big dog on the block and he doesn't even know what the fuck the little dogs are doing? Dude, how can you take him seriously? You don't care. You just want to be the president, but you don't want to do presidential shit. Like, you can't do that. This is not one of your fucked up, whack ass companies where you could just like, oh, I made a building, didn't go through it, it failed. Like, these are people's lives. This is a fucking country. There are millions of people in this United States that depend on you to make decisions that is going to advance our prosperity. And you're telling me you can't be bothered. You don't know y'all don't know what his messaging is. Like, JD Vance has to come and be like, yo, the president is not properly apprised about the situation. Maybe we should wait until we get him up to date. Why the fuck is this operation going on if he's not up to date? You should know exactly what he stands for and what he thinks before even engage in this. But instead you got people like, nah, we heard what he said. I can intuit that this is what he meant. Dude, you're not the fucking president. He doesn't have all the facts. So you're telling me we're going to do all of this without presenting all the facts to the president, and that's cool. I'll ask the question, well, then why the fuck we even got a president? If he's not going to take the time to think about these important things that he says is so critical for our nation, then I got to be like, why are you in the job? Okay, just to sign executive orders and fuck people over? Like, why are you in the job? Just so you can have people in the Oval Office, like, ask you questions? Like, why do you have the job? Just to stay out of jail? Because that's not what we need a president for. I don't need a president to be a fucking a mascot. I need somebody who's going to lead. I need somebody who's going to get shit done. You talk about, the art of the deal. I don't see any deal making. I just see a motherfucker sitting in his office doing hot ass shit, complaining about things like, why don't people love me? And you're doing the worst shit ever. And it's like, that's why people don't like you. Trump had every opportunity. I will say this. Trump is probably the only president, I believe, who had every opportunity to probably become the most beloved president in the entire United States. He had control of the Republicans. He has control over the judiciaries. He's got all these people in check. And instead of making policies that could benefit the people, he could have cut through bipartisan shit, just saying, we're not doing that, we're going to do it this way. He could have had achieved everything he wanted in such a more even-handed and nuanced way that even his detractors would have to say, Trump's not bad. He knows what he's doing. He's killing it. And instead, he goes about it in the most inane, in the most asinine ways, which shows to me, again, he does not care about the office. No other president has had the ability to just really cut through bipartisanship in this way than Donald Trump. To have near total control of every Republican on the planet, he could have implemented all these changes in a much more sensible way that even a Democrat would have to be like, we got to play ball. That's a pretty good way. But instead, greed, incompetence, ego, those are more important. Fuck running the country. I just want to do shit my way. And we've seen what happens when he does shit his way. His shit fails. I'm sorry. You could believe all you want that this dude is the next coming. He's like business Jesus. He's fucking not. The proof is in the pudding. He's good at conning everybody, but he's not that guy. So, like I said, the fact that JD Vance has to say that he doesn't believe Trump that realistically understands the ramifications of this action shows me that Trump's not serious about being president. And then that trickles down to the people he picks. If he's not serious, then how can I take the rest of y'all seriously? And especially what we got going on here, it seems I've been proven right. So that's the first episode. This one went a little bit longer. I'm trying to cut it to like 15 minutes, but I got heated talking. I will see you guys on the next show. Once again, I will figure out the name of what I'm calling this, but ultimately, this is the start of something that will lead to something greater. I want to build a coalition. I want to get people together. We need to start talking about ideas about how we're going to change it all, because the system has failed us. Politicians have failed us, Democrat and Republican. Everything about this capitalism has failed us. It's just broken. Let's call a spade a spade. It's just broken. So I'll see you guys next time. My name is Derek. Take care of yourself.